We're reading from the fourth canto, Srimad Bhagwatam, chapter 25. We had started, and we have to start from text 6. Griheshu kuta dharmeshu putradaradhanartadhi na param vindate mudo brahmayan sansara vartmashu. Those who are interested only in a so-called dutiful life, namely remaining as a householder, entangled by sons and a wife, and searching after wealth, think that such things are life's ultimate goal. Such people simply wander in different types of bodies throughout this material existence without finding out the ultimate goal of life. Purport. Those who are too much attached to family life, which consists of entanglement with wife, children, wealth, and home, are entangled in Kuta Dharma, pseudo duties. Prahlad Maharaj has likened these pseudo occupational duties to a dark well, Andhakupam. Prahlad has purposefully spoken of this dark well because if one falls into this well, he will die. He may cry for help, but no one will hear him or come to rescue him. The words Brahmayan, Sansara Vartmasu are significant. In Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Leela 19.151, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly explains Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jeev. All the living entities are wandering in different types of bodies throughout different planets. And if in the course of their wanderings they come in contact with a devotee by the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their lives become successful. Even though King Prachin Bharishad was engaged in fruitive activity, the great sage Narada appeared before him. The king was very fortunate to be able to associate with Narada, who enlightened him in spiritual knowledge. It is the duty of all saintly persons to follow in the footsteps of Narad Muni and travel all over the world to every country and village just to instruct illusioned people about the goal of life and to save them from the entanglement of karma bandha, that is fruitive activity. So who is speaking here and to whom? Yeah, it is Narad Muni who has started speaking. And the subject matter is a king is speaking to Narad Muni, not that Narad Muni is speaking. The king is telling we are Maharaj Prachin Bari is telling we are entangled. So you please guide us. So here Maharaj Prachin Bari is talking about Kuta Dharma, that is zero duties. And how the nature of household life, one gets entangled into these zero duties. In taking care of wife and children and running after wealth. Then Prabhupada explains the same thing is described as Andhakupam by Prahlad Maharaj. A deep dark well. Then Prabhupada explains it is described as a deep dark well because it's very difficult to come out of it. One can try and cry for help, but very difficult to come out of it. And one may die as well. So very dangerous. But then Prabhupada explains it is by the association of great devotees that one can get awakened to his real duties of life, not just zero duties. Just like because of the association of Narada Muni, Maharaj Prachin Bari is getting awakened. Just like every household has to cook his own food, in a similar way, Srila Prabhupada explains that in spiritual life, everyone has to fly his own plane. The problem is owing to illusion, the person takes wrong steps. And therefore, and therefore, every preparation he makes is spoiled preparation. So therefore, hearing makes a very important propaganda, or hearing makes a very important difference. So Prabhupada is explaining about making a very powerful and strong program about speaking Krishna Katha and speaking about the message of Krishna. The point is when people hear about the message of Krishna, they get awakened. So when you know what to do, doing is not difficult. But the main point is, and when you are conscious what to do while doing what you do, then uh, one can actually change his destiny. So that's why Prabhupada is emphasizing on very strong uh, very strong focus on that. Yes, we talk about the message of Krishna. We talk about the message of spiritual life. And the message is potent. The message is active. And therefore the message itself will bring about change. It changes the activities, therefore it changes destiny. So very widespread preaching of the message of Krishna is the only way the sorry affairs of this world can be changed. And that is why Prabhupada is emphasizing it. That we go all over the world and we talk about Krishna. Okay, sun coming up. Okay, we'll read the next verse. Naraduvacha Bho Prajapate Rajan Pashun Pashyat Tvaya Advare Samajna Pitan Jiva Sangha Nirgrahanena Sahasrasha. The great saint Narada said, O ruler of the citizens, my dear king, please see in the sky those animals which you have sacrificed without compassion and without mercy in the sacrificial arena. Because animal sacrifice is recommended in the Vedas, there are animal sacrifices in almost all the religious rituals. However, one should not be satisfied simply by killing animals according to the directions of the scriptures. One should transcend the ritualistic ceremonies and try to understand the actual truth, the purpose of life. Narad Muni wanted to instruct the king about the real purpose of life and invoke a spirit of renunciation in his heart. Knowledge and the spirit of renunciation, jnana vairagya, are the ultimate goal of life. Without knowledge, one cannot be detached from material enjoyment. And without being detached from material enjoyment, one cannot make spiritual advancement. Karmis are generally engaged in sense gratification, and for this end, they are prepared to commit so many sinful activities. Animal sacrifice is but one such sinful activity. Consequently, by his mystic power, Narada Muni showed King Prachin Bharishat the dead animals which he had sacrificed. It is very interesting to see here that Srila Narada Muni is not wasting any time. Srila Narada Muni directly comes to the point, you see. One of the reasons can be strike the iron when it is hot. So Narada Muni, you see, Narada Muni is directly making Maharaj Prachina Bharishad realize what is his folly. You see, Maharaj Prachina Bharishad is a pious person. Although he's a pious person, he is very much attached to material sense gratification. So this goes to show that piety is not sufficient to take off or cut off or uproot material attachments. That's the point. So we can see that the Maharaj Prachina Parishad, he's not able to get out. Secondly, we can see that although Maharaj Prachina Parishad is actually having a good thought process. He actually wants to get awakened to. He actually wants to get awakened to a higher goal and a higher reality of life than just. Now he's saying Kuta Dharma, than just Kuta Dharma, the zero duties. So he actually wants to get awakened to that. Now the point is, so therefore the point to note is that you see therefore the point to note is that although he is pious, he is having a good thought process and good vision, but now in his own attempts to walk towards spirituality, or what he is doing is nothing but but feeding the same material tendencies. This goes to show that on one's own endeavors it's impossible to. That's why Bahunam Janmanamante is the Brahmanda Brahmide Prabhupada was quoting in the previous verse. It takes such a long time. That's the point. So we can see that he is so therefore Narada Muni is actually uplifting him, is it not? Because on his own, what he is doing is that in the name of his so-called spirituality, he is just fanning his own, the same sense gratification. So, spirituality can be undertaken in two modes. Maharaj Prachin Bhari has been following the flavoring mode. The flavoring mode is that a person doesn't want to change his material life. A person is very much attached to his material life. He just wants to add a flavoring. He just wants to add a touch of spirituality. And continue his material entanglements. So, why a person wants to do that? Many reasons. Yeah, to get rid of the guilt that I am doing sinful activity. Like many people who are corrupt, they give some donation just to get rid of the guilt. So some amount of their black money they may give for donation. Then they start giving more black money. Then they start giving more black money. Then they expect that that your black money should be the trust should convert the black money to white money and give back a portion. So you see, the point is the guilt reduction is one thing, or minimization. Any other reasons? Why does one what's the flavoring of material life? If one wants to follow material life, one can follow in full on way. Why flavoring of spirituality? Why confusing oneself and others? Guilt reduction. Huh? Yeah. So one of the reasons is yeah, to get some kind of temporary satisfaction. So sometimes material world one faces very frustration. So what it is, this is as Shidhar was saying, it is basically using spirituality to enhance one's sense gratification. It's basically that okay, a person get disease and he says, okay, let me get hospitalized. But what is the purpose of getting hospitalized? to just get cure, to again do sense gratification again, back again, So to just get some, so people, get depressed, frustrated, So they want to take to some spirituality so that they come out of the depression to do what? To do further sense gratification. That is another thing, flavoring. There may also be a tug of war. This way, that way, that way, this way. A person may be tossing here, there, here, there. So, so this is flavoring. And the second mode is taking to spiritual life as the exclusive topmost priority. Then that path is the path of getting detached from material sense gratification. And that is the path which is defined that, okay, you get detached from material sense gratification, then only one can make tangible spiritual advancement. So, so we have to understand flavoring is not spirituality. Flavoring is material engagement only. So flavoring is not spirituality. Flavoring is material engagement. So therefore, actually, as a sadhaka, we have to be very cautious that our practices of Krishna consciousness do not become just a flavoring. They do not become just a flavoring. So because flavoring is not spiritual, flavoring is material engagement only. It is so Krishna consciousness necessitates prioritizing. Krishna consciousness necessitates abnegation from material sense gratification and material sense gratificated desires. So we should be cautious of this flavoring, because flavoring is not bhakti. Only when we really genuinely give priority to bhakti, then it is bhakti. Otherwise, it is not bhakti, it is flavoring. Actually, so we should be careful. And Narad Muni is pointing out that you are not practicing bhakti, you are practicing flavoring. And the interesting thing is, so here Narad Muni is showing what is the proof that you have been sacrificing. The proof was, you see, although Prachina Bhari was engaged in rituals and all, following Vedas and all that, but what is he doing? He is sacrificing animals without compassion. So, okay, in our case, we may not be sacrificing animals, but we will see the practice of flavoring will be imbued with a lot of discrepancies. The person may be offensive. A person may be, very one-sided, offensive, one-sided, insensitive, so those kind of things will be there actually. So sometimes, sometimes devotees only do very great damage to other devotees. Very unexpected. Why such things happen? Because then they actually took to the practice in a flavoring way. Otherwise, bhakti makes one. Bhakti will shape one into a very wonderful, into a perfect human being. How is it possible that one is insensitive or cheating or exploiting to other devotees? It's not possible. So then that is not bhakti, just flavoring. It's not bhakti actually, just flavoring. So the problem with flavoring is so many discrepancies. Just like in the case of Prachin Bhari Maharaj, he's into so many discrepancies. What Vedas is he following? Means, what upliftment he is following? He is killing animals. No compassion, no mercy. Yeah, so the point is, so some good understandings he got. So he is, why Prachin Bhari Maharaj has sent his sons to the forest for a good purpose only, with a good heart. So some positive understandings he has got, but he is not getting out. He's just himself not able to come out. So we need to prioritize bhakti. Then we can get out of this flavoring or discrepancy. So flavoring is Combined discrepancy. That's what we can see here. Ete tvam sampratikshante smaranto vaishasa tava samparetam ayaha kutais chindanti uthita uttita manyavaha. All these animals are awaiting your death so that they can avenge the injuries you have inflicted upon them. Oh, very fierce. Huh? They can avenge the injuries you have inflicted upon them. After you die, they will angrily pierce your body with iron horns. So, very fierce. They will pierce your body with iron horns. Narad Muni wanted to draw King Prachina Bharishat's attention to the excesses of killing animals in sacrifices. It is said in the Shastras that by killing animals in a sacrifice, one immediately promotes them to human birth. Similarly, by killing their enemies on the battlefield, the Kshatriyas who fight for a right cause are elevated to the heavenly planets after death. In the Manu Samhita, it is stated that it is necessary for the king to execute a murderer so that the murderer will not suffer for his criminal actions in the next life. On the basis of such understanding, Narada Muni warns the king that animals killed in sacrifices by the king await him at his death to avenge themselves. Narad Muni is not contradicting himself here. Narad Muni wanted to convince the king that overindulgence in animal sacrifice is risky, because as soon as there is a small discrepancy in the execution of the sacrifice, the slaughtered animal may not be promoted to a human form of life. Consequently, the person performing the sacrifice will be responsible for the death of the animal, just as a murderer is responsible for killing another man. When animals are killed in a slaughterhouse, 6 people connected to the killing are responsible for the murder. The person who gives permission for the killing, the person who kills, the person who helps, the person who purchases the meat, the person who cooks the flesh, the person who eats it, all become entangled in the killing. Narad Muni wanted to draw the king's attention to this fact. Thus, animal killing is not encouraged even in a sacrifice.
It's like twisting the relation for your own selfishness. So
Yeah.
you actually put a dharma or cut a dharma.
Yes.
So like it will appear as dharma, but it is not dharma. This ऊपर से कमेंट डाल के हम अंदर से निकलते हैं.
Yes, yes. Kuta dharma, kaita dharma. Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada is presenting the argument here that one may say, okay, animal killing, why should the animals come and avenge? Because animals were being killed in a sacrifice, and according to Manu Samhita, such animals being killed in a sacrifice get promoted to a human birth. So why should they come with iron hands to stab? Because actually they got better off. In their own natural course of evolutionary cycle, it may have taken a long time to come back to a human birth, but because they happen to be a part of the sacrifice, immediately got a human birth. So why should they come to stab? So that is the argument which Prabhupada is quoting. Now, and then Prabhupada is saying that Narad Muni is not speaking any contradiction. Why? Because Narad Muni is telling that, okay, in these kind of animal sacrifices, a lot of uh, there is a lot of risk, because a little bit of discrepancy in the animal is not sacrificed properly, then you get the murder. You get this thing, murder. You know, none of the person gets the charge of a murder. He becomes, it's almost like a murder, and in that case, the iron horns will be there. And therefore, practically speaking, Prachina Bari Maharaj would have already landed up into many discrepancies. That means many animals would have gone here and there. Many animals would have gone here and there, because experimental conditions require a good amount of rehearsals, is it not? So require a good amount of rehearsals. Therefore, Narad Muni is making the point that therefore Narad Muni is telling that many iron horns are waiting for you. Because already you would have landed up into many mishaps. Because that is the nature of this risky experimental work. That's the point. Just like in biology or biotechnology, there are these rat experiments. They experiment on rats. So government has come up with norms, what is called as ethical and what is not ethical. So these norms say that, okay, for a particular experiment, there is a limit that you can only sacrifice a fixed number of rats. But then so some of our devotees in these departments, from them we heard the scene is what? The scene is that nobody can fit into that limit. Nobody can fit into that. So on paper, they will keep that limit that, okay, these many rats were only used. But actually, they'll end up into killing many rats. So the point is that the nature of experimentation is errors. The nature of experimentation is errors. And therefore, such risky trajectories like animal sacrifices, Narad Muni is recommending, better don't undertake. Because the nature of experimentation is errors. That's the point. So we may say, okay, we are not doing animal sacrifice, so we are all good. So so because we are not doing animal sacrifice, are we all good? So that's the point. Now, now if we just try to relate with we were talking about this aspect of discrepancy in the practice of devotional service. The point is, if we keep clinging on to material desires, we will create some discrepancy, some damage here and there. And that may be hazardous to our own spiritual life. And because now we are more with the devotees, therefore the devotees may become the subject of our damage. The object or the subject of our damage. So that is risky. So what is risky? clinging on and feeding material desires along with spiritual practice is actually risky because we are with the devotees. Clinging on to material desires. So it's actually going to do damage to the devotees around because who else will become the recipient? Only person who is nearby, is it not? So therefore, one has to take heed. Heed. Caution. Heed. Heed means be cautious.
I was thinking the price more than required because we have to better way. But this question we have actually all asked because the material and material. उतना ही इसमें भगवान की सर्विस में यूज होते हैं उतना ही हमको यूज करना चाहिए अगर हम सही फैसिलिटी अगर ले लेंगे तो वो भी फंस जाएंगे बिकॉज़ पॉलिटिकल डिस्क्रिपेंसी
Yes.
and then great disaster.
Yes, that's very true.
Because उनको सेवा के नाम पे सब कुछ मिल रहा है
Yes.
सेवा भी करे अपने प्रोग्राम में